when Nathan stayed by his first love's side. I died alone in the apartment. The conquest mission had failed. The system declared that the male lead would forever lose the one he loved most. My soul floated in midair, waiting to watch him regret it for the rest of his life. But unexpectedly, the very next second, Nathan's bank account balance was wiped clean. So the thing he loved most was money. Now this was going to be interesting. Chapter 01. Today was my 29th birthday, and also the final day before the conquest mission expired. I called Nathan countless times, begging him to come back. Every single time, he rejected me impatiently. Luna, can you stop being so unreasonable? Birthdays happen every year. Miriam is moving today. How is a girl supposed to handle all that by herself? I'll come back after I help her move her things. Be mature about it. After the call ended, I felt both my fingertips and my heart gradually turning cold. Against Miriam, I lost again, and this time, the price was my life. I had stayed by Nathan's side for 10 years, watching him grow from an inexperienced student into a powerful business tycoon who dominated the industry. During the hardest days of his startup journey, we shared instant noodles, squeezed together in a cramped and gloomy basement, and survived countless sleepless nights side by side. But the day before our engagement party, Miriam came back. Miriam was Nathan's first love from high school. She went abroad to study during his senior year, becoming the unattainable woman buried deep in his heart. Nathan had joked more than once that he had already moved on. Feelings when you're young are immature and naive. How unforgettable could they really be? Luna, you're the one who matters most to me. But in reality, he postponed our engagement party under the excuse of being busy with work. After that, he fought a group of punks in a nightclub for Miriam, squeezed through crowds to buy her the season's trendy first milk tea of autumn, and even ran 20 kilometers just to use his running app to trace a heart shape around her neighborhood. He never spoke of love, yet under the excuse of just friends, he did every childish and ridiculous thing he used to mock. I lost completely. The system reminded me, "Host, you only have 2 minutes left. Forget it. I already tried my best." I tossed my phone aside and closed my eyes. After living in this world for 10 years, my whole life had revolved around Nathan. Now that I was dying, there wasn't really anything left to regret. The phone lying on the bed suddenly vibrated again. The system sounded delighted. "Quick, check it." Maybe Nathan came back. I turned over the screen. Miriam's face appeared through Nathan's WeChat profile picture on the video call. She stuck out her tongue at me playfully. "Luna, I'm sorry. There was just too much stuff to move today. I really couldn't handle it alone. So I borrowed your boyfriend for a while." In the video, Nathan was squatting on the floor without a shred of dignity, wiping the tiles clean. His expensive suit was wrinkled into a messy heap. He had always been obsessed with cleanliness. Before he left home, I had spent half an hour ironing that suit just to press it into the perfectly sharp lines he wanted. So apparently, none of those things mattered when it came to Miriam. Nathan stood up and went to the bathroom to rinse the rag, still remembering to remind her carefully, "Miriam, stay there and rest. Don't walk around. The floor's slippery. You might fall." Watching Nathan close the bathroom door behind him, Miriam raised an eyebrow at me smugly. "Luna, do you know what it means to be someone's precious darling? You wash his clothes, cook for him, stay beside him through business deals and startup struggles. But some people, they don't have to do anything at all. As long as they stand there, they already win. Understand?" My vision went black. Damn it. I was literally about to die. And right before dying I still had to get humiliated in my face by Miriam's bragging. What rotten luck. Even the system thought this was rotten luck. Paw. Shameless bitch. Time's up. Host. Mission failed. As punishment, you will die, and the male lead will forever lose the one he loves most. Chapter 02. I nodded, tossed my phone aside, and lay calmly on the bed. I understood all the cliches. I suffered physically and emotionally, gave everything to Nathan, including this cheap, worthless life of mine. And Nathan? He wouldn't exactly get a happy ending either. He would drown in grief, waking up alone every day on a 100-square-meter bed, throwing wild parties inside a 2,000-square-meter mansion. Beautiful women would surround him everywhere he went, one in each arm, yet none of them would ever reach his heart, and so he would live on in loneliness and emptiness, healthy as ever, with billions in savings, all the way to 99 years old. No, 99 wasn't enough. 120 would be even better, because every single day he spent alive, trapped in endless memories of me, would be torture. The longer he suffered, the more satisfying it would be for the readers. The system began its countdown. 3, 2, 1. The conquest mission ended, and I watched my soul float upward from my body. A little excitement started bubbling inside me. Nathan, now that I'm dead, you'll regret it, won't you? Men are all the same. They only learn to treasure something after losing it. I spent so many years giving everything to you, so I wanted to see it too. The sight of you crying your heart out for me. Let's go. Time to see how Nathan's doing. Inside the apartment, Nathan was sitting shoulder to shoulder with Miriam on the couch watching a movie. His phone vibrated, and he frowned impatiently as he glanced at it. Miriam pouted. Nathan, you should go back. I think today is Sister Luna's birthday. I'm really fine here. You should go spend time with her. I can handle things myself. There's no need. A birthday isn't a big deal anyway. Luna never cared much about birthdays in the first place, so it doesn't matter. During the 5 years I struggled alongside Nathan building his company, I hated spending money and never celebrated my birthdays. But every year on Nathan's birthday, even if I had to starve for days, I would still buy him a cake, cook a whole table full of dishes, and do everything I could to make him happy. All those years of devotion, I thought they would eventually warm his heart, but I never expected that. In his eyes, all my sacrifices were simply things I was supposed to do. I stared blankly at Nathan. His phone vibrated several more times. Irritated, he picked it up, about to switch it off entirely, but when his gaze casually landed on the text message, his pupils suddenly constricted. His breathing turned ragged. His whole body began trembling violently. 874,502,930. 38 yuan has been transferred out of your bank account ending in 8888. Current balance, 0 yuan. Chapter 03. I was stunned. A few years ago, Nathan's startup had perfectly ridden the market boom. His company went public, reaching a valuation worth billions. Yet he had never been the type to spend recklessly. Aside from the basics like houses and cars, his daily lifestyle was actually pretty frugal. Sometimes if I bought a designer bag, he would lecture me about it for ages. So where had such a huge expense suddenly come from? What the hell is this? The system looked completely unsurprised. Forever losing what he loves most. You didn't seriously think you were the love, did you? Use your brain. He didn't love you when you were alive. So why would he suddenly go crazy over you after you died? He's not some necrophiliac. What he loves is money. And from now on, he'll never have money again. The air fell silent. I felt slightly broken inside. Why do you always pull this kind of nonsense? Do readers really enjoy this stuff? Last time you wrote one of those chaotic tragedy stories and got flamed to hell. Don't tell me you learned absolutely nothing from that. The system replied. Just answer me this, are you excited or not? Honestly speaking, between a penniless Nathan and a Nathan drowning in regret over love, I definitely preferred watching the first one. Suddenly, I became excited. I widened my eyes and floated around Nathan, carefully observing every expression on his face. Nathan took several deep breaths in a row, unlocked his screen, stood up, and hurriedly stepped aside to call me. As he dialed, he paced back and forth in panic. Luna, pick up the phone. Hurry up and answer. For all these years, I had handled every little aspect of his life for him. The company accounts, the private banking managers he dealt with, everything was managed through me. So when the money in his account suddenly vanished, Nathan's first instinct was still to make me solve the problem. He called several times in a row, but of course, I didn't answer. Nathan grew more anxious by the second. He rushed toward the entrance and hurriedly changed his shoes. Miriam, I need to go back first. Chapter 04. Miriam unhappily wrapped herself around his arm. Is Sister Luna angry? Let me go with you. I'm the one who asked you to help me move. I'll apologize to her, okay? It's not that. Something happened with the company. Just stay home and wait for me. Nathan's voice was tense with urgency. Before Miriam could say another word, he slammed the door shut and left. Along the way, he kept calling the bank's customer service hotline. so nervous that his words stumbled over each other. What do you mean I authorized the transfer? That's impossible. No suspicious activity? The recipient account is normal? Impossible. That's absolutely impossible. I'm coming there right now with my people. When the car arrived downstairs at my apartment building, Nathan rushed into the elevator, taking the stairs in huge strides. Luna, open the door! But I was already dead. Of course I couldn't open it. Nathan glanced at the shoes on the cabinet by the entrance, his face filled with agitation as he started pounding on the door. Luna, I know you're home. What kind of tantrum are you throwing now? Open the damn door. You still won't open it? Fine. Then I'm leaving. Don't regret it later. This was the tactic Nathan used best against me, back when we used to fight. No matter who was actually wrong, I was always the one who gave in first. When we graduated, Nathan was busy building his startup, so I even wrote his graduation thesis for him. I spent several exhausting months finishing it, only for Nathan to accidentally lose the USB drive I gave him. That was the very first time I ever lost my temper with him. Back then, we were so poor we didn't even own a computer. I had written the entire thesis using public library computers, and the worst part was, that final version had no backup. Nathan reacted the same way back then too, his face cold and expressionless. Don't bother helping me, I'll write it myself. I'm just a burden to you, right? Fine. Then I'll leave. Don't regret it later. After saying that, he turned around and walked away without hesitation. His thin, slender back carried both stubborn pride and a trace of wounded dignity. And just like that, my heart softened instantly. The first time I met Nathan, he had looked exactly the same. Back then, I had run into a group of street punks outside campus. Nathan had thrown himself into danger to protect me without a second thought. At the time, the system still hadn't announced who my conquest target was, so I kept my distance from every boy out of caution. I told Nathan to stop interfering. Nathan wiped the blood from his nose and sneered coldly. Who's interfering for your sake? I just can't stand looking at those guys. He picked up the backpack from the ground and turned to leave. Inside the narrow alleyway, the sunset shone in from the far end, stretching his shadow impossibly long. I can't remember exactly what I felt at that moment. I only remember the overwhelming joy that flooded my heart when the system finally announced that Nathan was my conquest target. I could never bring myself to be cruel to a figure like that, so I chased after Nathan and coaxed him softly until he forgave me. And from then on, every time we fought, he used this exact same trick to keep me firmly under his control. Chapter 05. This time was no different. After shouting, Nathan fell silent for a moment, waiting for me to open the door. But even after a long pause, the door remained completely still. Nathan let out a frustrated growl and slammed his fist against the door. Luna, you've really gotten bold lately. Just you wait. There was a spare key to the apartment kept at the company. Nathan finally remembered and prepared to call his assistant, Bradley, to bring it over. But the moment he unlocked his phone, the screen lit up again. Miriam had been calling him nonstop. Nathan rubbed his forehead and answered impatiently. Miriam, wait a second. I still have something to deal with here. Nathan, it hurts so much. Miriam burst into tears. I fell down. Please come save me. It hurts. I'm bleeding so much. TCH. Miriam only ever uses this trick. I muttered, rolling my eyes. How many times had this happened already? Every single time Nathan was with me, she would call with some excuse or another. Either she got splashed by hot oil while cooking, or some creep was following her on the street, or the electricity went out at home and she was too scared to stay alone. Her survival skills were honestly worse than a 10-year-old child's. Yet Nathan fell for it every single time. Miriam grew up spoiled. Her family is wealthy, and her parents treated her like a princess. You're different. You started working part-time in high school. You're independent and strong. You can handle everything on your own. But Miriam can't survive without me. Be good, okay? I'll help her deal with things and come back afterward. To Nathan, Miriam always came first. But now, Miriam's rival wasn't me anymore. It was money. Could she still win this time? I stared at Nathan expectantly. Sure enough, he took a deep breath and yanked impatiently at his tie. If you fell, then call an ambulance. What's the point of calling me? Once I'm done dealing with things here, I'll go see you at the hospital. Stop calling me for now." After saying that, he hung up and tried to call Bradley instead. But before he could even scroll to Bradley's name in his contacts, Miriam called again. Chapter 06. "I'm sorry, Nathan. I shouldn't have disturbed you. Sister Luna's birthday is more important. This little injury of mine is nothing serious. I can go to the hospital by myself. You should stay with her. After living abroad for so many years, I should have learned how to be alone by now. And it's probably time for me to let you go too." Miriam's tone was perfectly controlled: sadness, disappointment, forced strength. Nathan froze for several seconds after hearing her words. If this had happened before, he definitely would have rushed straight to her side without hesitation. Unfortunately for Miriam, 800 million yuan had made his mind crystal clear. Without another word, Nathan hung up decisively. Then he scrolled down his screen, blocked Miriam completely, and only after that did he finally call Bradley. "Bradley, bring me the key from Luna's drawer." Bradley sounded panicked. "Vice President Luna, where did she go? Please come back quickly. Something terrible happened at the company. The financial regulators are here. They said the company falsified its accounts, and we're being fined too. 7 billion yuan. The moment Nathan heard that, his breath caught violently in his chest. He started pounding on his chest, eyes rolling upward from shock. "How much? 7 billion? I'm coming back immediately. Where's Luna? We don't know where Vice President Luna went either. Nobody can reach her by phone. I'm heading over right now." "Bradley, listen carefully, forget about the company for now. Bring the key to Grand Court Apartments immediately. Open Luna's apartment door and make her get back to the company at once." Nathan roared into the phone before speeding straight toward the company without stopping for a second. The company's market value might have been much higher than the fine itself. But once the penalty announcement went public, the collapsing stock price would trigger a devastating chain reaction, combined with the mysterious disappearance of the money from his bank account. Once the fine was paid, the company would instantly go bankrupt. Nathan wouldn't just become penniless. He would also end up buried under billions in debt. His face turned deathly pale from fear. Even the hands gripping the steering wheel shook uncontrollably, while his teeth chattered loudly against each other. I had never seen Nathan panic like this before. In my memories, he had always been calm and composed. When the USB drive containing his thesis got lost, he had simply shrugged. "Then I'll just write another one. Why are you panicking?" When he lost his wallet, he had acted indifferent. "It wasn't that much money anyway. I can just save more later." Back during the startup phase, we once landed a huge order, but before delivery, the client suddenly backed out. I was so anxious that painful ulcers broke out across my mouth. Night after night, I couldn't sleep at all. Meanwhile, Nathan calmly comforted me. "It's fine. The products aren't going to rot sitting there. We'll just find another customer." Because of that, he used to laugh at me constantly, saying I was emotionally unstable and mentally weak. But only now did I finally understand. When the USB drive got lost, I was the one who had to rewrite everything. The money inside the wallet had been my savings, and when the client ran away, I was the one who had to chase down new customers all over again. Of course, he never panicked. After all, when it comes to their own personal interests, everyone is exactly the same. Chapter 07. By the time Nathan arrived at the company, the financial regulators had already left. The penalty notice sat conspicuously on his desk. The enormous red numbers and official stamp were painfully glaring. Nathan looked like he was about to lose his mind. Where's Luna? Wasn't she always the one handling finance? How could such a massive mistake happen? The secretary nervously stepped forward. Vice President Luna stopped managing this department a long time ago. As for those financial statements, the secretary swallowed hard before continuing. President Nathan, you were the one who approved them personally. You told us to inflate the profits. You said every other company does it too. That it was an industry norm. After the quarterly report was released, the company's stock price jumped 20%. You even took Miss Miriam to an auction to celebrate and bought jewelry there. Those purchases were paid for using the company account too. Did you forget? Nathan froze. Back then, we had fought fiercely over this exact issue. The suggestion to manipulate the financial statements had come from Miriam. She had majored in finance at university and interned at several major overseas corporations. So she always believed she was far more capable than me. Why are you guys so naive? If you tweak the reports a little and make the profits look better, the stock price will soar instantly. Plenty of public companies do this. The regulators never bother investigating. After hearing Miriam's explanation, Nathan smiled and nodded, his eyes full of admiration. Then we'll do it Miriam's way. Luna, redo this quarter's reports. No, we're a publicly listed company. The information we disclose is our responsibility to every shareholder. We can't do this. I refused firmly. The moment Miriam heard that, her eyes immediately reddened. She tugged pitifully on Nathan's sleeve. I'm obviously trying to help the company. Even if Sister Luna doesn't like me, she doesn't have to act like this. Just because she wants to spite me. How much money is she going to make your company lose? Nathan instantly took Miriam's side and exploded into a huge argument with me. I didn't want to participate in fraudulent accounting, so I said I wanted to take a leave of absence. Nathan treated it as if I were threatening him. Luna, you really think too highly of yourself. The world won't stop spinning without you. I know you're jealous that Miriam is more capable and talented than you. But this is my company. You don't get to gamble with my money just because you're upset with her. If you want leave, then get lost and stay home. I'll just find someone else to replace your position. Chapter 08. Remembering the past. Nathan slammed a hand against the desk in embarrassment and anger. So what if that's true? Luna is still the company's vice president. If something like this happened, then she's responsible for it. She probably heard the news already and is deliberately hiding at home like a coward. Where's Bradley? Call Bradley immediately and bring Luna back to the company. She'll know how to fix this. Cases like this always have a 1-week appeal period. Tell her to redo the accounts. She'll definitely find a solution. Nathan paced back and forth around the office while repeatedly calling Bradley. I joked bitterly with the system. See? He doesn't even realize how important I am to him. For all these years, he relied on me for everything. Too bad. Nathan, this time, I really can't help you anymore. The system scoffed. You're insane. Don't tell me you still like him? How important could you possibly be? If you were really that important, how could he not notice you'd been sick for so many days? Your face was paler than a corpse already. If you were really that important, would he hand his secondary bank card to Miriam while pinching pennies with you? Has he ever even taken you to a decent restaurant? He treated you like garbage while you were alive, but after you die he suddenly falls in love with you? What kind of messed up logic is that? You tragic romance heroines are all crazy, completely delusional. I wanted to argue back indignantly, but when I remembered the money Nathan had lost, the words suddenly died in my throat. Forever losing what he loved most. And what Nathan loved most really wasn't me. Nathan grew increasingly impatient waiting for me and called Bradley dozens of times in a row. Finally, the call connected. Bradley's tearful voice came from the other end of the line. President Nathan. Vice President Luna, she's gone. What do you mean gone? She's not at home? Where else could she possibly be? Nathan roared into the phone. It's not like she goes traveling. For all these years, her entire life has only been the company and home. Where else could she go? Nathan had chronic stomach problems, and I never trusted him to eat outside food. Every morning, I woke up early to cook porridge for him, to take care of him. I rarely ever left the city, even when I occasionally had to travel for business meetings. If Nathan called me once, I would immediately book a late-night flight and rush back overnight. He had long grown used to ordering me around whenever he wanted, expecting me to appear the moment he summoned me. Vice President Luna is dead. I'm at Central Hospital right now. The police are here too. They said they need to wait for the medical examiner's autopsy report, but it's most likely a heart attack. After Bradley finished speaking, Nathan remained standing there motionless. Even his expression didn't change. Chapter 09. The police said they need to notify the family. Where are Luna's relatives? Stop joking around with me. Luna's healthy as a horse. How could she possibly die? She's still throwing a tantrum, right? Trying to force me to go beg her personally? Fine, I'm coming over right now. Nathan took a deep breath and hung up the phone with trembling hands. But almost immediately, he forced his expression back into calmness. The system sneered sarcastically. Well, disappointed, aren't you? Looks like you mattered even less to Nathan than I thought. I ignored the system's mockery and simply stared at Nathan's face. Because I knew. He was terrified. His eyes were already red. He pulled out his car keys and tried several times to press the unlock button, but his hands shook so badly he couldn't even manage it. In the end, he had someone from the company drive him to the hospital. The moment Bradley saw him outside the emergency room, he rushed over emotionally. You finally came. Nathan stood frozen in the hallway as he stared at the hospital bed covered with a white sheet. His pupils widened violently. He couldn't move a single step forward. This is Luna? Yes, the medical examiner needs a family member's signature before the autopsy can proceed. President Nathan, where's her family? Nathan stood there blankly for several seconds before suddenly lunging forward and ripping away the white sheet. That's impossible. Luna, get up. If you die, what happens to the company? What happens to me? Where did all my money go? Luna, wake up. Like a madman, Nathan grabbed my body and shook me desperately. How can you die? What am I supposed to do now? Luna, wake up. His eyes were bloodshot as tears poured down uncontrollably. He clutched me tightly in his arms, pinched the pressure point beneath my nose, pried open my eyelids. Watching it all left a bitter taste in my heart. I was dead, Nathan, and even now, instead of grieving for me, every sentence out of your mouth was about money and the company. Was I really that unimportant? The system replied coldly. Well, duh, that's tens of billions of yuan we're talking about. Tell me honestly, do you think you're worth that much money? Once Nathan finally realized I was truly gone, his emotions completely shattered. Still clutching my body, he collapsed onto the floor and repeatedly slammed the back of his head against the wall over and over again. If you're gone, who's going to help me fix the company? The company's really finished, and I'm finished too. Luna, wake up. Help me. Just help me one more time. I swear I'll never upset you again. From now on, I'll do whatever you say. I'll listen to everything, okay? Nathan cried hysterically, pounding his chest with all his strength. That last phone call. I should have come back. Why didn't I come back? If I had come back, you wouldn't have died. There still would have been time to save everything. I'm such a bastard. Why didn't I come back? In the middle of his breakdown, Nathan's vision darkened. Then he collapsed backward unconscious. Chapter 10. When Nathan opened his eyes again, he was lying on the large bed in the apartment. Miriam sat beside him, her face full of grievance. Nathan, you're finally awake. Honestly, Luna was so unreasonable. She knew you were sick, but she still refused to come see you. I called her several times, but she said. Miriam carefully observed Nathan's expression while helping him sit up, placing a pillow behind his back. She said she had no time to care about you. That's way too cruel. Even if she's angry, she shouldn't ignore your health. Nathan slowly sat upright, staring fixedly at Miriam. Luna said that herself? Watching from the side, I almost burst out laughing. After Nathan fainted yesterday, the doctors examined him and concluded that he was simply too emotionally overwhelmed. It wasn't anything serious, but the hospital didn't have enough beds, so they told the family to take him home and let him rest there. Bradley had no choice but to call Miriam over to take care of him. Meanwhile, the police and hospital were still waiting to deal with my body, and the company was drowning in problems. Bradley was running around in chaos and simply hadn't had time to tell Miriam that I was already dead. Miriam poured Nathan a glass of water, her expression growing even more pitiful. Yes, and not only that, when I went downstairs earlier to buy food for you, the waiter said my card wouldn't work anymore. That's the secondary card you gave me. So how could it suddenly stop working? Luna must have taken advantage of you being sick and called the bank to freeze it. Nathan, you know me. I don't care about money at all. You don't need to argue with her for my sake anymore. Here, you can take the card back. As she spoke, she picked up a black bank card from the bedside table and stuffed it into Nathan's hand, her eyes red with tears. Luna really thinks too poorly of me. You know that ever since I was little, I've never cared about money. I'm not like her. She's always calculating every penny and treating money like it's the most important thing in the world. Then she shrugged as if joking casually. If one day you went bankrupt, She'd probably dump you immediately. Chapter 11. Miriam came from a wealthy family, but during those years overseas, her family had gone bankrupt. Even after returning home, though, she still acted lofty and untouchable in front of Nathan. Even using his credit card had technically been something Nathan practically begged her to do. When I handled Nathan's accounts, I discovered that she had spent over 2 million yuan in a single month. I was so furious that I had a huge fight with Nathan over it. Nathan only sneered coldly. Next month is my birthday. Miriam was just buying gifts for me. Luna, can you stop being so shallow? Do you seriously think everyone is as obsessed with money as you are? Miriam is different. She's innocent and pure, not as materialistic as you. She's the kindest, simplest girl in the world. Don't use your cheap, worldly values to insult her. So the moonlight, untouched by dust, turned out to be nothing more than a lump of filthy mud. Nathan looked as though someone had slapped him across the face. He stared blankly at the black bank card in his hand before painfully closing his eyes. Miriam assumed Nathan was angry at me, so she immediately pressed closer against him and continued adding fuel to the fire. Don't be upset, Nathan. I was just joking around. There's no way you'll go bankrupt. Wasn't the stock performing great after the last quarterly report? Luna just grew up poor, so she doesn't understand how big companies operate. Don't worry, with me here, the company will only keep getting better and better. Better your fucking ass. Nathan suddenly exploded. He slapped Miriam viciously across the face. You fake, manipulative bitch. You ruined me. This is all your fault. Nathan lunged at her, pinning her to the floor and slapping her face over and over like a madman. How the hell did I believe your bullshit? Fake accounting? Fake your fucking mother's accounting. Miriam's head spun from the beating. Her face rapidly swelled up like a pig's head. Terrified, she struggled desperately and shoved against Nathan with all her strength. Are you insane? Nathan? What are you doing? What am I doing? Weren't you supposed to be some finance genius? Don't you read the news every day? Didn't you fucking see that our company got fined 7 billion yuan by the regulators? 7 billion. It's over. Everything's over. I'm going bankrupt. The money in my account must have been transferred away by the bank in advance too. Right. That has to be it. As he ranted and hit her, Nathan's mind gradually became clearer. Over the years, countless companies had collapsed. After bankruptcy, plenty of bosses ended up blacklisted financially. But if they transferred their assets in advance, even though they couldn't fly or ride high-speed rail anymore, their lives still wouldn't become too miserable. Now, all assets under Nathan's own name would definitely be frozen. There was no time left to move them. But Miriam still had money. Where's the money I gave you? And the jewelry I bought for you? Give all of it back to me right now. Chapter 12. Nathan threw Miriam aside and rushed toward the vanity table, yanking open her drawers frantically. Miriam had been beaten so badly she looked completely dazed. She lay on the floor staring blankly for a long while before finally reacting. Slowly propping herself up with her arms, the very first thing she did wasn't stop Nathan. Instead, she grabbed her phone and checked the news about the company. And the moment she checked, her entire face changed. During the 2 days Nathan had been unconscious, the financial regulators had officially released their announcement. The company's stock price had crashed to the daily limit. Every business partner had terminated their contracts, and countless people were already scrambling to sue the company. After all, the earlier they filed claims, the higher they'd rank during bankruptcy liquidation. At this point, Nathan was completely finished. There was no possible way to recover anymore. Miriam found it impossible to accept reality. After her family went bankrupt, both her parents had been blacklisted financially back home and could only remain overseas. Their health wasn't good either. Medical bills and medication cost an enormous amount of money. Without Nathan, where else could she possibly get this much money? That's impossible. Where's Luna? Wasn't she the company's vice president? How did she handle things so badly that the company ended up like this? The moment Nathan heard my name, his rage exploded even further. He ripped every drawer out of the vanity and smashed them onto the floor. You still have the nerve to mention her? You killed her. It's all because of you. You bitch. You kept clinging to me and stopping me from going back. Luna died alone in that apartment. Do you have any idea how terrified and hopeless she must have felt? Nathan lunged at Miriam again. His fist smashed directly into her nose, and blood burst out instantly. Miriam screamed miserably and covered her face. Luna died? You were the one who refused to go back that day. How is that my fault? Shut up. I said shut the fuck up. Nathan punched her viciously in the face several more times. Terrified, Miriam scrambled backward trying to escape. Nathan grabbed her by the throat with one hand and dragged her toward the vanity table. Where's all the jewelry I bought you over the last 2 years? The diamonds, watches, necklaces, gemstones, where the hell are they? Chapter 13. As the two of them clawed at each other and fought like lunatics, the system applauded excitedly nearby. See? This is what men are really like. First love, the unforgettable woman, in front of money. All of that becomes worthless. Huge clumps of Miriam's hair had been ripped out. Her clothes were disheveled, and her face was covered in blood. Watching everything unfold, my emotions became strangely complicated. Honestly, I did hate her, but seeing Nathan beat her so violently somehow kept reminding me of the things he used to say. He once claimed that, in his heart, love would always matter more than money, that the reason he earned money at all was to provide a luxurious life for the people he cared about. That was why every time I haggled over a few yuan at the market or tried to save every penny possible, Nathan would lower his head awkwardly and stand there in discomfort. After we returned home from grocery shopping, he would always start complaining. Luna, this really doesn't suit you. It's honestly embarrassing. Can you stop doing this in the future? Are we really that desperate for a few yuan? At their core, Nathan and Miriam were the same type of person, proud, arrogant. They looked down on ordinary people struggling to survive in the real world. With just a single word from Miriam, Nathan could throw away enormous amounts of money for her without hesitation, even when there had never been any real relationship between them. And now they were ripping each other's hair out, scratching each other's faces, rolling around on the floor fighting like common street shrews. Every halo around them had vanished. All I felt now was that Nathan was unbelievably fake. Disgustingly fake. Miriam screamed endlessly. The commotion inside the apartment finally became so loud that the neighbors called the police. By the time the police arrived, Miriam was kneeling on the floor trembling violently, crying pitifully. Nathan, just because your company went bankrupt doesn't mean you can take it out on me. We were friends. I was trying to comfort you out of kindness. How could you treat me like this? Miriam already had a naturally delicate appearance to begin with. Now that she had been beaten until she was covered in blood and bruises, she looked absolutely miserable. The police immediately handcuffed Nathan and took both of them back to the station for questioning. Once they investigated, the case itself turned out to be very simple. The once famous Nathan had gone insane after his company neared bankruptcy, demanding money from the woman he had been financially supporting, and the two of them ended up in a violent fight over it. Chapter 14. Nathan was detained for 10 days. During those 10 days, he had no access to outside information. Only people from the court came to see him, placing stack after stack of documents in front of him for signatures. Every time he signed his name, Nathan's hand trembled violently. He knew he was completely finished. He couldn't understand how things had ended up like this. Just half a month ago, he had still been spending lavishly with Miriam in luxury boutiques. Bradley had told him the company had secured several huge contracts, that everything was thriving and flourishing. So how had the world suddenly turned upside down overnight? Where exactly had things gone wrong? Nathan couldn't figure it out. 10 days later, when he was finally released, he was still wearing the same clothes he had entered with. The wrinkled suit jacket hung on him like a filthy rag. Nathan took off the jacket and casually threw it onto the ground before pulling out his phone to call a ride back to the company downtown. But the moment he opened the app, he realized both his WeChat Pay and Alipay accounts had been frozen. Left with no other option, Nathan started walking toward the company. He walked for 2 entire hours before finally finding a driver willing to give him a ride along the way. The driver was an enthusiastic middle-aged man who happily chatted about the latest scandalous news. Did you hear? Lunaris Group went bankrupt. The company's vice president is dead, and nobody knows where Nathan went. He's probably hiding somewhere, too ashamed to show his face. Seriously. Letting the thing in his pants do the thinking completely ruined him. The whole company was built up by Luna, yet he destroyed her over some mistress and ended up causing her death. And they're saying the regulators only started investigating Linares Group because of that mistress, Miriam. She was flaunting her wealth online, showing off jewelry, designer bags, and even posting the receipts. And guess what? Those receipts had Linares Group's official company stamp on them. Seriously, what kind of idiot boss buys jewelry for his mistress using company accounts? The moment people saw that, reports started flooding in from everywhere. Nathan's whole body began trembling uncontrollably. He hugged his knees and curled into himself in agony. Miriam. So in the end, everything had been because of Miriam. Chapter 15. When the car stopped outside the company building, the once thriving skyscraper had already been sealed shut. The place was completely deserted. Nathan stood there blankly, staring at the enormous words on the building, Linares Group. On the day the company bought that building, Nathan had been overwhelmed with joy. He had hugged me and spun around several times in the plaza outside. Luna, this is amazing. We finally have a place for ourselves in South City. I'm so happy right now. Tell me what gift you want, and I'll buy it for you, okay? I extended my hand toward him and bent my ring finger slightly. You've always known what I wanted. Nathan froze. The smile on his face slowly faded away. After a long silence, he still reached out and took my hand, kissing my finger reverently. This kind of thing, the man should be the one to propose first. Come on, I'll take you to buy a ring. While we were browsing inside the jewelry store, I suddenly heard a surprised voice call out behind us. Nathan? I turned around and saw Miriam's face. And in that moment, I knew I would never get to see that wedding happen. Nathan collapsed onto his knees, covering his face as he cried. I'm sorry. Luna, I was blind. I completely lost my mind. How could I stay obsessed with someone like that? When you were the one who was always so good to me. Luna, I'm sorry. Nathan was crying so intensely that he didn't notice someone walk up behind him and tap him on the shoulder. President Nathan? Is that really you? Where the hell have you been these past few days? Why haven't you come out to deal with the company's mess? Bradley stood there carrying a huge stack of documents, glaring at Nathan resentfully. And there's Vice President Luna's funeral too. She didn't have any other family, so the charity foundation she used to sponsor stepped in to handle everything for her. Seriously, where exactly did you disappear to? Chapter 16. Her funeral? Nathan stared blankly at Bradley. Where was she buried? Take me to see her. South City Memorial Cemetery. Go by yourself. I'm busy as hell right now. These documents still need to be delivered to the court. Bradley waved his hands repeatedly and flatly refused Nathan. After the company went bankrupt, employees had gone unpaid for 2 entire months. Meanwhile, Nathan had hidden himself away like a cowardly turtle, refusing to show his face. Everyone secretly hated him now. They all said the same thing. If Luna were still alive, things never would have turned into this mess. Okay. I need to see her. Nathan wandered forward absent-mindedly, but after a few steps, he turned back around. Bradley, could you lend me some money? I don't even have enough for the bus. I don't have money either. Bradley glared at him, hugged the document bag tightly to his chest, and ran off immediately. Nathan stared at his empty pockets and let out a bitter laugh before slowly sitting down where he stood. The world was enormous, yet somehow, there no longer seemed to be a single place left for him in it. Over the following days, Nathan wandered everywhere trying to borrow money, but everyone avoided him like the plague. Some people even took the opportunity to humiliate him further. Hey, look! Isn't that the famous Nathan? Nathan, over here! Smile for us. If your smile looks good enough, I'll give you 200 yuan. Nathan covered his face and fled in humiliation. His home had been seized and sealed off. Penniless, he could only drift through the streets, sleeping at subway entrances or beneath bridges at night. He had also tried looking for work, but with his name blacklisted financially, no legitimate employer would hire him, unless he wanted to haul bricks around at construction sites. One day, Nathan sat blankly on a pedestrian overpass, staring into space with lifeless eyes. A kind passerby couldn't bear watching anymore and handed him 10 yuan. Nathan took the money to a nearby market to buy steamed buns. South City's prices were high, so Nathan awkwardly tried bargaining with the vendor, asking for just a little more food. Get lost. If you can't afford it, then don't eat. The vendor waved him away impatiently. Nathan stood there stiffly in embarrassment. And suddenly, he remembered all those times I used to haggle in markets just to save a few yuan. Clutching the 10 yuan tightly in his hand, Nathan burst into tears. Chapter 17. Passers-by gradually stopped to watch, whispering curiously among themselves. Young people these days are so lazy, perfectly healthy, yet instead of working they're begging here? Exactly. Nothing worth sympathizing over. Doesn't even look like a real man. Miriam, move farther away. Beggars like this are filthy. Nathan froze. Then he slowly turned around in disbelief. Inside the crowd stood Miriam, leaning against a fat middle-aged man. She carried plastic grocery bags filled with vegetables while the man's thick fingers, decorated with giant gold rings, rested possessively around her waist. Nathan instantly went insane. He lunged forward and grabbed Miriam by the throat with both hands. Miriam, you ruined my life. And you still dare show your face? Come die with me. The man beside Miriam desperately tried pulling Nathan away. Hey, what the hell are you doing? Are you crazy? Somebody help. Nathan had been starving for days. Naturally, he was no match for the heavier man. The guy quickly beat him to the ground with punches and kicks until Nathan lost consciousness. Watching it all made me feel strangely uncomfortable. Why does Miriam still seem to be doing fine? Weren't all her jewels company assets? Shouldn't they have been confiscated already? The system shrugged. She had her own hidden savings too. Nathan gave her plenty of money over the last 2 years. I know you want to see karma hit her, but in reality, selfish and cold-hearted women like her always leave themselves an escape route. They usually don't end up suffering that badly. It's hopeless romantics like you who ruin your whole lives. I immediately protested indignantly. So what? This is a novel. Give her consequences. The system replied thoughtfully. Well, I suppose that's possible. The moment it finished speaking, Nathan, who had been lying unconscious on the ground, suddenly opened his eyes and sprang upright. Miriam, go to hell! He grabbed a butcher knife from the nearby pork stall and viciously stabbed it straight into Miriam's back. Nathan burst into manic laughter. You killed Luna! I've avenged you now. Luna! I stood right beside Nathan and smiled faintly at him. For a brief moment, it almost seemed like Nathan could actually see me. Luna! Nathan dropped the knife and reached a trembling hand toward me. But all he touched was empty air, just like his future.